Hi and welcome to part 3 of my favourite arcade ports on a Commodore 64. In this video we'll be taking a look at some remasters that have been done in the last few years, plus on top of that I got some more classics to show you. So without further ado, let's take a look and see what I picked. Kicking things off in part 3 we're going to take a look at Star Wars. This was released in 1988 and published originally by Dubot. Now Star Wars is a great arcade classic by Atari, and the C64 version ain't bad either. Yes, it's not as brightly coloured as the arcade and the many other home ports, and yes, it's not as fast, but this game is certainly fun to play, and I had fun playing this on my C64 back in the glory days. Nemesis, released in 1986 and published by Konami. As you all well know, Nemesis is a classic arcade horizontal shoot 'em up, and the C64 home port ain't a bad one either. It's got most of the levels in the game, it's got great music, and great gameplay as well. Gauntlet, released in 1986 and published by US Gold. Now I could have picked either Gauntlet game for this one, but I gone with the first one because this is the one I remember most. I remember having this on the C64 and spent hours playing it. On top of that as well, it's even more fun in two players, and I love the graphics, the colours and the music in this one too. Sly Spy, released in 1989 and published by Ocean. Now Sly Spy on the C64 is a cracking game. It's brightly coloured, all the levels in it, and the multiple style of levels are in it too. It's got great music by Jeff Bowling as well. What more can you ask for? This was the closest you can get to the arcade version on the Commodore 64. Spy Hunter, released in 1985 and published by US Gold. Now Spy Hunter is a classic arcade port for the C64. It's brightly coloured, it's got great music and great gameplay too. It's a fun game and one you need to try for yourselves. Arkanoid, Revenge of Doe, released in 1988 and published by Imagine. Now the original Arkanoid is an all-time classic on the C64, and the second installment takes it up a notch too. It's got better sound, better graphics, great gameplay, and of course it's got more power-ups as well. I even heard you can use a mouse in this one too. The Real Ghostbusters, released in 1989 and published by Activision. Now the Real Ghostbusters is based on the cartoon series, and this game is a great one too. Based on the arcade obviously, it's got David Whittaker's music throughout, it's brightly coloured, great gameplay and great graphics too. It's a very fun game and you need to try this one. Turbo Outrun, released in 1989 and published by US Gold. Now I love the original Outrun on this C64, and Turbo Outrun takes it up a notch. It's got better graphics, it's got great gameplay, and on top of that as well, the synth music's incredible in this one. So if you haven't tried it, certainly give this one a play. Hypersports, released in 1985 and published by Imagine. Now Hypersports is the sequel to Track and Field, and in this one you got 6 new events to conquer: swimming, shooting, gymnastics, archery, triple jumping and weightlifting. This is a very popular game in the Commodore 64 community. Donkey Kong, released in 2016. Now we got two Donkey Kong games I want to show you in this video, and this is the first one. This is a great conversion from the arcade. It was done in recent years and they done a great job. It's got plenty of action in it, great graphics, great sounds as well, and as close as you're going to get to the arcade on the C64. This is a fantastic game and a game you need to try for yourselves. The Simpsons arcade game, released in 1991 and published by Konami. Now this is a new old title for me because back in the day I didn't have a floppy drive, and on top of that as well, apparently this game was only ever released in the US. But it's a great arcade conversion. It's got the intro from the arcade in it, it's got plenty of colour, and all the characters are there for you to choose from as well. Rampart, released in 1992 and published by Dubot. Now Rampart is an action strategy arcade game. The arcade game's good, but the C64 version is incredible too. It's got plenty to do in it, it's got puzzle elements, you've got strategy all the way through, and the goal in it is to protect your fort from the enemy. Something completely different for you to try, and yeah, with Alistair Primble's music on top of it as well, certainly makes this a game you won't forget. Pac-Man, released in 2022 and published by Alistair. Now there are many Pac-Man games out there for the Commodore 64, original releases and games made by fans, and I gone with this one. This is an incredible game, it's got all the sounds, the colour and the music in it to go with it, and on top of that as well, it plays very much like the arcade. They done a great job with this one. Golden Axe, released in 1990 and published by Virgin Games. Now Golden Axe is one of my all-time favourite arcade games, and on top of that as well, the Commodore 64 version is a great one too. Yeah, it has got that little problem where there's only one enemy sprite on screen at a time, but this game certainly pushes the Commodore 64 to a different level. It's got great graphics, the intro and in-game music is incredible in this one too. If you haven't played this version, give it a try. What have you got to lose? Mr. Do, released in 1985 and published by Datasoft. Now I remember playing Mr. Do back in the arcade, and it was an early game for me, so I weren't that old when I played it. But the game itself is a great one, and the Commodore 64 conversion is very similar too. It's got all the elements of the arcade in it, and it's got great gameplay. Super Mario Bros. 64, released in 2019, and this was converted by Zero Page. Now Super Mario Bros. On the C64 is more directed towards the NES version, and not the arcade, but it's very similar. It's got all the gameplay in it from the original, it's got great music and great graphics too. Combat School, also known as Boot Camp, released in 1987 and published by Ocean. Now in this game it's very similar to track and field, but you're in a military boot camp and you've got many different games to play. You play as an obstacle course, firing range, Iron Man race, arm wrestling and one-to-one combat. It's a great game, it's got great graphics too, and Martin Galloway's music on top of it certainly makes this game special. Donkey Kong Jr., released in 2014. Now Donkey Kong Jr. was never released on the Commodore 64, well until now. This is a cracking arcade port. It's got great gameplay, great music and graphics. I played this one recently and I was on it for hours and didn't get bored of it whatsoever. Incredible game, and the devs team behind it done a cracking job. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoy my C64 series on arcade ports. I catch you all again soon.